When we think of the Bible, we often picture a single heavy book, something ancient, mysterious, and perhaps even intimidating. It sits on a shelf or a table, its pages filled with words that have echoed through centuries. We imagine one story with one beginning and one end, as if it were a novel with a clear plot and a single message. But the truth is, the Bible is far more complex and fascinating than that simple image suggests. It's a tapestry woven from many voices, cultures, and eras. It's not just a story of faith, but a record of people's lives, their struggles, their hopes, and their search for meaning. It's a window into ancient civilizations and the questions that have shaped humanity. We'll peel back the layers of time and see the Bible as a living library of human experience, born from whispered stories passed down through generations, carefully copied by devoted scribes, and shaped by passionate debates. No fluff, just facts. No sermons, just scripture. The Bible's story is, in many ways, the story of us all. It reflects our deepest fears, our greatest hopes, and our endless curiosity about the world and the divine. Its journey from spoken word to printed page is long and winding, shaped by powerful choices, innovations, and even controversies that still affect us today. Understanding this journey helps us see faith and history in a new light, revealing connections between past and present that we might never have noticed before. So let's set aside our assumptions and explore the Bible together, as a profound collection of mysteries, stories, and wisdom, all waiting to be discovered and understood. The Bible isn't just one book, it's a library, a collection of many writings gathered together over centuries. When you hold a Bible, you're actually holding a whole shelf of books, each with its own story, voice, and purpose. Inside are dozens of smaller books, written by different authors, living in different eras and shaped by different cultures and experiences. Each author wrote for a unique audience with their own hopes, struggles, and questions. Christians divide this library into two main sections, the Old Testament and the New Testament, each with its own themes and focus. The Old Testament, which is also sacred to Judaism, contains ancient laws, sweeping histories, beautiful poetry, practical wisdom, and the passionate voices of prophets who spoke to their people in times of crisis and hope. The New Testament tells the story of Jesus and the beginnings of the Christian movement. It starts with 4 Gospels, each offering a different portrait of Jesus, continues with the dramatic events of Acts, includes letters from leaders like Paul to early churches, and ends with the mysterious visions of Revelation. Different Christian traditions count the books differently. Protestants recognize 66, while Catholic and Orthodox Bibles include additional writings reflecting centuries of debate and tradition. These books span a wide range of genres: history, law, poetry, letters, prophecy, and more, each offering a unique window into the world and faith of its time. Some tell epic tales of nations and heroes, others offer deeply personal reflections, prayers, and wisdom for everyday life. Understanding this diversity helps us see the Bible not as a single voice, but as a rich conversation across the ages. A tapestry woven from many threads, each adding depth and meaning. Each book brings its own perspective, questions, and insights to this remarkable collection, inviting us to explore, reflect, and join the ongoing conversation. Before anything was written, the Bible's stories were spoken. Around fires, elders told tales of creation, the flood, and ancestors like Abraham and Sarah. These weren't just stories. They were identity, history, and faith, passed down through oral tradition. Storytellers used rhythm, repetition, and poetry to make the stories memorable. The Exodus, for example, was retold at gatherings, reinforcing a people's identity as freed by God. These stories were alive in voices long before ink touched parchment. Eventually, some were written down, but oral tradition remained vital. Written texts were read aloud, so the spoken word continued to shape the community. Even today, we can hear the echoes of those ancient voices in the Bible's rhythms and power. The Bible's roots are in stories meant to be heard. Writing the Bible's stories meant finding something to write on: papyrus and parchment. Papyrus, made from Nile reeds, was light but fragile, used for scrolls that could be meters long. Scribes, highly trained, copied each letter by hand with painstaking care. Mistakes were costly, and every copy was unique. Parchment, made from animal skins, was more durable but expensive, an entire flock for one copy. Only the wealthy or important institutions could afford these precious texts. With no printing press, every copy was a labor of love and skill. Variations and errors crept in, sometimes by accident, sometimes by a scribe's note. These realities shaped the Bible as it was passed down. The journey from breath to papyrus was as fragile and human as the stories themselves. How did all these diverse writings eventually become the Bible we know today? It happened through a long, complex process known as canonization, involving many generations. For the Hebrew Bible, consensus slowly grew over centuries. Especially after the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, Jewish scholars and leaders defined which texts held the highest authority and spiritual value. Early Christians also debated which Gospels and letters belonged. Criteria included apostolic authorship, agreement with tradition, and widespread use in worship. No single person decided. It was a gradual, collective process shaped by many voices. Influential leaders like Athanasius helped shape the New Testament's final list of books. The canon reflects the wisdom, and sometimes the politics, of faith communities over time. The Bible's table of contents is the result of centuries of debate, discussion, and careful decision. The Bible wasn't written in English. The Old Testament was written in Biblical Hebrew with small parts written in Aramaic. The New Testament was written in Greek. These ancient words inscribed on fragile scrolls and papyrus carried meaning shaped by distant cultures and times. To access these stories, every generation has relied on the work of translators, bridging the gap between the ancient and modern world. Translation is interpretation. Every choice shapes meaning and understanding. Translators must weigh words, context, and nuance, making decisions that influence how millions will understand sacred texts. Their work is both an art and a responsibility, as each phrase can open or close doors to meaning. For centuries, the Bible in Western Europe was only in Latin, controlled by the Church. This language barrier kept the scriptures out of reach for most people, making the Bible a mysterious and distant book for the common folk. Ordinary people relied on clergy for access, giving the institution immense power. The Church became the gatekeeper of spiritual knowledge, deciding what could be shared and what remained hidden. The Protestant Reformation changed this. Reformers like Luther and Tyndale translated the Bible for all, sometimes at great personal risk. Their courage sparked a revolution, making the scriptures accessible to everyone, not just the elite. Translation became an act of liberation, shifting power to individuals. For the first time, people could read, question, and interpret the Bible for themselves, transforming faith into a personal journey. Today, hundreds of English translations exist, each with its own style and philosophy. Some aim for word-for-word accuracy, while others seek to capture the spirit and message in modern language. Some are poetic, others modern, some literal, others focus on meaning. This diversity allows readers to find a translation that resonates with their own understanding and needs. Every translation is a lens, coloring how we read the ancient text. The words we encounter are shaped by centuries of choices, debates, and discoveries. When we read the Bible, we read it through the eyes of its translators. Their work connects us to the past, but also invites us to reflect on how language shapes our own understanding of these timeless stories. So, whose Bible are we talking about? There isn't just one. The Jewish Bible, or Tanakh, has 24 books, arranged differently from the Christian Old Testament. Rastafari view the Bible through the lens of liberation and exile. They believe the true spiritual truths are embedded within the text, waiting to be revealed through divine insight, meditation, and collective discussion. While Muslims do not use the Bible during their worship, they recognize shared biblical figures such as Adam, Moses, Abraham, and David as important messengers who delivered God's divine guidance throughout history. Their stories and teachings form a significant part of Islamic belief and tradition, highlighting a common spiritual heritage. Protestant, Catholic, and Orthodox Bibles all have different contents and orders. These differences reflect deep theological and historical divides. The books included, or left out, shape each community's understanding of God and morality. Even the order of books tells a story, guiding readers toward different conclusions. Want to find out more? No fluff. Just facts, no sermons, just scripture. Subscribe to the Primal Text, and let's explore together. Are you ready?